Nvidia, the godfather of AI, delivered out-of-this-world revenue bigger than Australia's total education, defence and transportation budgets combined, with the founder of Nvidia saying countries around the world are now recognising AI. It's as essential as electricity or the internet. All this sent Nvidia shares about 5% higher in after-hours trade. It's great to have your company this Thursday, the 29th day of May. We'll cover everything you need to know in just a minute. But first up, let's go to the regular trading session. We saw US stocks drift lower, and that's because the US Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, handed down their meeting minutes, basically suggesting that businesses in America, surprise, surprise, they're probably going to pass on tariff-related price hikes to consumers, either fully or partially. So policymakers of the central bank are basically saying that they could face difficult trade-offs. Basically, this means for us, we could see US interest rates stay higher for longer. And this is exactly why we saw US investors take this as a cue to take some profits off the table of US stocks overnight. And while they were doing that, they topped up the, I guess you could say, the dying safe haven of the US dollar. And that sent the US dollar higher. Bond yields also rose as well. But the news of the day, perhaps the quarter, is Nvidia's results and their shares jumping about 5% in after-hours trade after delivering another record quarterly report. Now, this sets a pretty bullish tone for tech investors today across the Asia-Pacific. But now the focus also shifts to quality large companies, because we do know US interest rates could maybe stay, just maybe, exactly where they are. Now let's get to Nvidia's results, the news of the day and the quarter. Let's bring you everything. So Nvidia's revenue surged to another record of $44 billion for the quarter. That exceeded Wall Street's estimates of $43.28 billion. And it also exceeded Nvidia's own guidance as well, what the company said that they were going to do. So tick, 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 great news. Now, most of their revenue is coming from data centers. So data centers, who are they? They include, Amazon, Alphabet, etc. So they make up most of Nvidia's revenue. And as we can see, Nvidia's data center revenue rose 73%, just outstanding stuff, to $39.1 billion. Let's step back now. Let's just think about how much Nvidia made in total. So you add up what we just said, how much they made, $44 billion, and then annualize that out. Nvidia has now actually made $148.5 billion over the year. And this is despite clocking a rough $8 billion loss in revenue from China due to export controls. Now, to put this into context, this equates to about 222.8 billion Aussie dollars. That's why Nvidia's yearly revenue is bigger than Australia's total education, defence and transportation budgets combined. If that's not something to knock your socks off, I don't know what is. Nvidia also upgraded their sales forecast for what's ahead. They often do this. This is no surprise. Now, this basically reflects the fact that Nvidia's clients, remember, 60% of their clients are blue chip companies in the NASDAQ 100. So they're the NASDAQ 100 companies, the biggest companies in the US. So again, 60% of their clients are the world's biggest companies. So the fact that they've increased their sales forecasts is because they've got a strong pipeline of orders coming from the world's biggest companies. The world's biggest companies want to stay competitive, so they're buying more of Nvidia's chips. That's basically another key takeaway for you. Also, here's some food for thought. Nvidia's CEO and founder, as we said at the outset, he said this: countries around the world are now recognizing AI as essential infrastructure, just like electricity and the internet. Nvidia stands at the center of this profound transformation. And indeed, it is a transformation, isn't it? Nvidia is also growing its reach into, as we've previously spoken about here with Moomoo, or on Moomoo to our clients and to you, whether you're tuning in on our podcast or on our videos. We've been speaking about Nvidia going into new sectors and also new regions as well. So we previously spoke about the UAE, and we also spoke about Nvidia going into healthcare, inking deals with Scandinavia's biggest clients, i.e. Novo Nordisk. Anyway, What's ahead? Nvidia sees sales growing next quarter to $45 billion. This is despite China's slowdown. That'll clock their yearly revenue again to another record of $164 billion. I'm rounding. It's $163.9 billion. So again, just outstanding stuff. Now, we've gone through so much today. I just want you to take away three things. Firstly, remember that Nvidia's mammoth growth, their scale, their dominance of the AI accelerator market really shows that investors can't ignore this company. It's the only company on the planet growing their revenue at over 50%. They're the only company in the world growing their gross profits at about 72%. And it's got a market capitalization or a market size of $3.3 trillion. So they're the only company of this size doing all these things. Plus, they're the only biggest company in the world that has got a AAA ESG rating by MSCI. So that's something for you to consider. In fact, they're the only company in the top 5 in the US that has got that AAA rating. So that's outstanding. Takeaway number 2. Secondly, remember, Nvidia is increasing their income, and this reflects the scale of the AI revolution. And thirdly, remember that earnings growth drives share price growth. Nvidia's shares over the long term could continue to grow, and this is going to benefit shareholders and probably create perhaps generational wealth for those that stay the course. Just remember this. Here's a chart of what Nvidia's shares have done over the past 5 years. They've grown 1,418%. No one knows what's ahead, but you would expect more share price growth over the long term, given earnings drive share price growth. And as we said, this is the only company of this size and magnitude growing their earnings in extremely high double digits. So much to consider. For more information, head over to Mumu's platform